The next one on the list here is the Fretless Bass, okay? The Fretless Bass. Now, I played this live on a keyboard. As you can see, I did it in parts because I'm not the greatest keyboard player at all. So as you can see, I cut it up. I just do a few takes and I take the best out of those takes. But it's all played live. Right? So these are just MIDI stuff. This is what I'm using for the Fretless Bass. Let's turn off the effects for a second. So what I'm using here is Expand 2 plugin, which is really great. That's a recent acquisition for me, and I really love this plugin. There's so much stuff in this, and I've used it a lot on Hidden World. There's so many great sounds in this, and I love this Fretless Bass. I mean, sounds so smooth. I tried to recreate it with the pitch wheel, you know, trying to get that slide thing going, the fretless thing going. So as you can hear, the sound's good, but it sounds pretty bland, you know. So what I do, I add a bit of chorus. I'm using this Acon Digital Multiply chorus, which I've been using for years, basically. Just adding that nice coarse flavor. This is one of my favorite plugins also. This is the Walk Emonizer. And it's basically a detune. So I'll turn it, I'll play the track and I'll turn it on along the way. So what it does just adds a slight latency to the detune, and I put it pretty low, and as you can hear, it also, you know, it also does a bit of a dB drop, which I don't really like, but you know, that's I don't mind it too much, actually. I just like the sound of this plugin. Let's actually listen to that by itself. As you can hear, it's doing just a slight, it's doing just a slight delay there. Right, so we got that going. So then I put some reverb on, which I don't do a lot for bass, but for this slow track, as you can see, I'm high passing the. This is the Epic Verb by Variety of Sound, and this is an absolute fantastic reverb. I really recommend it. These are, by the way, these are all free plugins. Well, this one is not free, but it's pretty damn cheap. This one is free. This one is free, and this one is free. I mean, and this one comes from Reaper, and I love using this one. So yeah, we got this reverb here. This is like really one of the best free reverb plugins, and I think this goes head to head with you know, the expensive paid reverb plugins. This just sounds fantastic, you know, so smooth. So let's do it all wet, you know. Just sounds really smooth. So as you can see, I'm doing a high pass here at 250 and a low pass at 10K. And I got it set pretty low. And I like this function here that you can do like a little bit of the stereo thing here. You can do it from mono to stereo. As you can see, it's 1500 milliseconds, 1600 milliseconds. It's got set to the Hall setting. It's pretty basic reverb, but it does a lot of cool stuff. So enough about this reverb. It's great. I really recommend. It's free. Download it right now. Okay, I really recommend it. So at the end here, again, doing a bit of low pass and some high pass. This is without. This is with. Now, if you're listening to this with headphones, you can probably hear, if this is coming out correctly, it gets rid of the really low end. Because if you have too much low end going on, that will interfere with your bass drum. So you really gotta map it out, really think about the sounds that you're using. So yeah, I do a bit of a low pass here. So we got that going. The next sound that I'm using, which is quite a few, I've got this grouped into the keys section. Now we got this DX, which you hear at the beginning here. It's beautiful EP. And what I'm using on this one is I'm using a layer of 2 Dext plugins, again for free. This is just, if you want a DX7, just get this plugin, or get the real thing, they're pretty cheap. Let's see what layers I've got going on here. So I get this one. Let's turn off the effects for a second here. That's the first one. Now the second one is this one. That's set pretty low to the mix, as you can hear. But it adds up to the first one. Let's see. Let's do the first one first. And now I'll add the second one. Adds a bit of attack to it, So now for effects. Now I'm doing a little bit something different. I got Amplitude 4 recently as well. And this is just fantastic. This has been really helping me for guitar. And, well worth getting this plugin. And I've only got this. I don't have any amps going on here. They're all turned off. And, the cabs and all that stuff is all turned off. I'm only using some of the rack gear here. So I'm using a bit of parametric EQ. So let's turn off the effects for a second, right? Let's just turn them on one by one. I don't have that. Oh, okay, good. So this is off. This is dry. Let's play it. So I'll turn on the parametric EQ. Off. On. So I've got quite a bit of boost here on the higher frequencies. Get that nice sizzly high end going. Then what I've got going on, I didn't turn on this one, but I've got the pitch shifter here, which just gives it a nice stereo spread. And this one is the moneymaker here. This is the tri-stereo analog chorus. Now I've been really loving. I've been going after the tri-chorus sound for a long time for guitar, and this is my favorite chorus ever made. The tri-chorus, the Diatronics one, or the Dino My Piano or Songbird. I'm a nerd of this stuff. So, but. Yeah, this is just a fantastic chorus. I'll just turn it on. You won't notice it at all. Just kidding. Let's just play the track here. Now I'll turn on the moneymaker. That sounds proper 80s, okay? Right? So what we got going on here? I didn't turn on this one, okay. So this still sounds nice and lush, but it needs some more flavor to it. So what we do, we put on some delay, of course. Not too bland, more delay. Still something missing there. Okay, let's put on the reverb. That's proper stuff right there. I got a slight limiter going on here, just to make sure I'm not clipping any. And some low pass and high pass, you know, doing the standard stuff pretty much on every track. That's a beautiful tone right there. Now I'm mixing this sound, this DX EP sound. I'm mixing that with this one, right? And that's basically it's not using amplitude. It's using the walk equalizer and limiter and the reverb and some EQing. There's a bit of different EQing here. I'm using the expand. It's one of the presets I made myself with like a suitcase, a Wurlitzer, a Mark II. And a harmonic E-piano. Just sound proper, you know. Let's put them out together. That's just flavor right there. So the next track that I'm using here are these DX bells right here. Now these are just to add a little bit more flavor to the sound. Right? Just the classic. These are just, that's probably like the stock preset right here. Yeah. That's like the classic tubular bells from the DX7. Again, using the walk-in equalizer, the Epic Verb, the DVS ping pong delay, which I really like to use a lot. A limiter, some EQ, just simple stuff. That's just to add, you know, a little bit more to the, you know, boom. So it's really nice. So I've got something else going on here. I think this is the, yeah, that's the chorus. That's a chorus of the song. And I'm using this highly, you know, high pitched. I'm doing the DX piano right here. Again, running the same setup as you could see. And I'm using the Piano 1 preset, which I rarely use because I don't actually like the sound of this piano. But it adds a nice soft texture to the whole thing. You can kind of hear it. And you can also see I'm not just playing the same thing here, I'm just just playing the chords more than really doing the arpeggiating stuff. Alright. So at the end here, I've got this going on as well. Got the bells going on. Now you can really hear this piano. The graininess of that, you know, really adds to it. So that's basically the keys, or it's the synthesizer keys, I should say. Now I've got some pads going on in the background. This is one of them. Very low volume. I don't like to put my pads way up. They're just in the background. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the Expand 2, and this is a preset I made, the Massive Orchestra. And this is drowned in reverb. So if I turn it off for a second. I think it still has reverb on from this. Yeah. But it sounds really nice and lush. And you've got like a whole, you know, like choirs and stuff, brass, a pad sound, another pad sound. So it sounds like a big orchestra and just in the background of the song. And I've got the equalizer going. I've got the delay up pretty high actually, you know, with a long trail of about 2600 milliseconds. Yeah, it's a lot of flavor there. I'm doing some different EQing here. Again, doing the high pass and low pass stuff. But I'm removing, let's see, I'm removing about 362. Just a slight dip of 2 dB. That's just to get rid of some of the mud that was going on. Let's just get that. That's without. That's with. You can see this. As you can hear, you can slightly hear it. There's just a slight change there. Just to get rid of some certain frequencies that I was hearing throughout the track. You know, again, when you hear it on its own, you don't really hear it, but once it's in the track, working with all the other tracks, then you really hear, you know, like stuff like that. Another pad going on here is this one. Really nice. Now you can see this is a big layer of more DX7 because you can't have enough DX7 in your tracks, guys. Just remember that, okay? Let's dissect this one by one, okay? The first layer here, again, I got the equalizer going. I got the epic verb going here. Some EQing, just basic EQing. The first one is the ensemble preset. Really nice. I had that going, but I wanted more. So what I do is I add the Toto Strings, which is basically, I found this cartridge from the DX7 that was programmed. The sounds were programmed by David Page and Steve Porcaro from my favorite band ever, Toto. So I was like, wait, I can use their sounds that they used on the albums and they used on tour. I was like, what the fuck? Okay. Sorry for swearing there, but yeah. Yeah, that just adds, let's hear that on its own. Nice strings, you know, not like realistic strings, but just a nice pad sound, you know. Put that with the ensemble. And then I used my favorite DX7 pad of all of them, which is just it's a factory preset. It's the Voice 1. Now, I gotta pump that up in post, but sounds really nice. And I've got that. The last layer I've got is, oh, that's really low. Let's turn it up for a second. I'm sorry. It's just a vibraphone, just in the background of everything. So, that's the whole pad. And you can just about hear the vibraphone. So yeah, that's basically everything together. So you got a lot of stuff going on here, and this is just a few of the tracks. Okay, this is like really small for me normally. I normally have a lot more tracks going on, but for this song, I wanted to keep it a little bit more simple. So let's go to the next project file. Yes, we're not done yet. This is going to be a long edit to make. Let's load up the next project file here, okay?